That's the way it goes. Busy noontime for me. It's just how it goes.
Saw y'all made awarded 3 players.
Yep.
What do you see out of each of those guys?
Well, we think each one of those guys can help us. So obviously we're a little banged up at the tight end position, so adding Devin's going to help us there. We like the tape that we saw, and so we'll add him to the mix. Max Scharping, has played a lot in this league and really smart guy. So we're excited to add him to the mix as well. And then Jay, we had high regard for Jay coming out of college, coming out of USC. Really liked his tape. I think we took Cam Sample right after they took Jay, and so we're very happy with Cam. And now you had Jay to the mix as well. I think is a good young developmental player that can be there as that 50 tackle right now. And so 3 guys that we think can come in here and help us and develop and be what we're about. And so I'm excited to see those guys come in here and work.
Obviously, 3 in, there's going to be corresponding moves. Have you guys figured those out yet, or do
Yeah.
you guys know, or is that still a work in progress?
I'll say it's a work in progress at the moment, yeah.
From a practice standpoint, are you expecting everyone that's been able to practice? Are you getting anybody back? Where are you at from a standpoint of practice?
Yeah, that's a great question. It all happens really fast right now, so you're hopeful to get as many practice squad guys back as you wanted. I don't know what that number is at the moment. I know Kendrick's going down there to Jacksonville. I just got done yelling at my brother. And then there's a couple other guys that maybe have some decisions to make. So we feel like we get a good group that we're going to add to the practice squad, and we're hopeful to get most of them back. Yeah, nah, nothing. He's a good young player. I'm excited for him.
Outside of Evan's game-winning kicks, is there a specific kick he made last year? I put you on the spot that really stood out to you that you maybe thought, I can't believe he made that kick?
I think probably one that gets lost in the shovel is the one in Denver, because it was such a tight game. We knew that every single point was going to matter. So for him to, whatever the yardage was, 55 plus, that was a big deal. Going into half, a lot of times, I think some people look at into half kicks just as throw, not for us, coaches or players, but as you forget how pivotal that moment is. It gives you a little bit of momentum when really you just had whatever we had, 1 or 2 plays before that, and all of a sudden you steal 3 points right before the half with a monster kick like he had. That's probably not one of the ones that people talk about as much because he hit so many game-winning kicks for us down the stretch and early in the year. That one gets lost in the shovel, but that was a big one.
A 2-part question here. Starting left guard, are you ready to name a starting left guard?
Yeah, we'll move forward with Cordell Volson. I think all the things I've said about him remain true, and so we've made that decision. We'll move forward with it.
So my follow-up was about Scharping to your depth, experience.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see his role being?
Yeah, I think that's well put. He's an experienced guy that Frank and Derek Frazier have some familiarity with from the pre-draft process. So we felt good enough to submit the claim, and we're happy that he's in the mix.
Why was it so important to add a guard with some experience?
Well, I don't know that we were actively looking just to add a player just to add a player. We want to make sure that it's the right person, and that's why we put in one claim for one offensive lineman. It was Max, and so to get him, we're excited to add him to the mix and see what he's about.
Is he just a guard, or is he like a tackle?
He's got some flexibility. He's played more guard there, but he has some flexibility, like you mentioned.
Would he end up now being the top backup guard?
It's very young in the process, so I won't get into where he falls in the depth chart, but we're just happy to get him in the mix and get to know him a little bit better and see how he fits in as a player for us.
Going back to the tight end position, are you guys done there, or do you feel like you're set in that spot?
We'll see. We're happy with Devin. We liked him a couple days ago when we started watching him. Obviously, we know him from the pre-draft process. James had gotten to know him, and really our scouts studied him a lot. So we've revisited him the last couple days and excited how it fell for us to get him back in the mix. We think that he can do some things to help us right now as we stand.
By the end of the day, you don't expect any more transactions?
I don't expect any more transactions at the end of the day.
Scharping, in the study that you guys did, is he sharp mentally? Is he a quick study? Is he a guy that can kind of grasp your offense very quickly?
Yes, that's one of the very positive traits about him. Smart guy, so I think he'll fit in well that way.
Devin, is he, you have 2 different styles of tight ends. Is he more, the blocking inline guy? What do you see from him?
there's some good routes he puts on tape, so I'm not just going to pigeonhole him as a wide tight end, a blocking tight end, but I do think he's a big guy. He's I'm not going to guess what his weight is, but it's up there. He's one of the bigger tight ends, and so there's a presence that he can bring there in the run game and in protections, and at the same time, there's some good enough stuff on as a route runner on tape that lets you know that he can do that as well.
Is he somebody you were aware of out of UCLA?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we talk about all those guys, but there's thousands of names that come across my desk, and then you got to refocus. Okay, yeah, we talked about him, 2 years ago or whenever it was, and things come back to you. We haven't played New England, obviously, so that wouldn't have come up on our radar. But again, James Casey probably watches more tight end tape than any person on planet Earth, so he's aware of all these guys at all times. And this was a guy that he certainly felt good about. Our scouts felt good about. We watched him the last couple of days and felt good about submitting the claim on him.
What did you see from Cordell that made you comfortable naming him starting left guard throughout the whole offseason?
Consistent growth. I think he improves every day. He takes the teachings and really fights to work on it each day. And so, again, there's a consistency there that we know what we're getting.
Zach, a lot of times as a head coach, you have to kind of temper emotions, I understand, in a game, but Joe and Jamar last year, week 1, that play at the end of the first half and how it hit, is there a moment where you feel like, okay, this is going to work, and you're more excited than maybe you might show in that moment?
I knew it was going to work before that play, I promise you that. Yeah, there's key moments in games when you can feel the momentum turn that maybe you don't show outwardly, that you feel like, okay, that was critical for us. Was that moment one of them? We had a lot early in the season where we hit some 2-minute drives and expanded our lead a little bit. The Minnesota game being one, the Pittsburgh game being one. Yeah, I don't know if I specifically answered your question, but it can happen.
Well, it's such an emotion swinger, as you said, in those kind of moments. I mean, how much can that change a franchise, those have-to-have-it kind of moments that Joe and Jamar have together that really can change a game in a season?
They're just two great players, so it's not necessarily about a moment. It's more about what they bring to our locker room, what they bring to our city, our organization. Those are two guys that are two of the best at their position and will be for a long period of time. And so it doesn't always play out that way when you take top 5 picks, but for these two guys, I think we're pretty certain that we hit on what we thought we would get. And that's because their work ethic almost surpasses their talent level, and not every talented player has that in them. And these two guys, I think, work as hard as any two people at their positions in the NFL. I feel pretty confident saying that without knowing all the other players, that these two guys put in all the necessary work to be great, and that's why it's no surprise to me that they've had the impact they've had on our team.
Obviously, a quarterback is very good at throwing the ball down the field, and wide receivers who are good at catching those types of passes. But in addition to that, how difficult is it to create an explosive offense as explosive as you guys have? And aside from the talent, what goes into kind of making that happen?
You certainly want to put guys in the right position. You call plenty of plays that you intend to be explosive, that pre-snap the coverage takes it away, and the quarterback knows he's going to check it down pretty quickly. So there's a lot of things that never come to fruition that our point is to try to be explosive. But I think, the players bring the scheme to life. Sometimes they make bad plays into good plays, and they are some of the more exciting plays that we experience when in reality the play may be busted, it wasn't a great look, and they just make it happen. And so the explosiveness, again, credit to our coaching staff. We work like crazy to put our guys in the best position to take full advantage of their talents. But, again, we have really talented players that make that a lot easier at times. And sometimes, again, they go off script when a play doesn't work, and they make it happen, and there's plenty of explosives that happen that way. And you look around the league, as we did the 2 years before we had all those guys, and we saw that going on with a lot of great players and great quarterbacks and great receivers of just going off script and making plays, especially in the red zone, the scramble drills, and now we get to be a part of that, and that's certainly helpful to the entirety of our team.
Sorry, Zach. What is the risk reward when you're assimilating 3 players after you've gone through a training camp, the full preseason, at this stage to make sure that they're ready and they're going to be productive players in your system? VJ Hill worked out great last year,
Right.
but that's not always a certainty.
Yeah, you try to find a role or a developmental role for them initially. We're not asking these three guys to come in here and start for us week 1 against Pittsburgh. We're asking them to potentially play a role or even be inactive, and develop over time because we've liked the player in the past. And so I think those three guys will fit what we want to be about. I won't make any projections on what's going to happen the first week or two with them. We have to wait and see once we get our hands on them and see how quickly they can assimilate into our group and our offense and our defense. But we're adding all three for a reason because they think they can help our team in some way, shape, or form at some point in the season. And so we'll just see how quickly that can happen.
Coach, when you were sifting through the names last night, a lot of names. I mean,
A lot of names.
you're picking 31.
Yeah.
You get a third rounder, you get a fourth rounder, fairly recent vintage. I mean, I'm wondering what you thought your odds were when you were looking at that stuff last night.
Well, yeah, we liked these three players. And so when you like players, you don't think at 31 you're going to get them. And it just so happened that we did. And so we're happy because we see fits for these guys and maybe other teams didn't. The way they're structured, the way their depth was, for us, these three hit positions that we felt like we could help ourselves. We only carried 4 D tackles. That was pretty rare for us. And so now we found our 5th D tackle. We're always looking to help our offensive line out, and turning over every rock to make that happen. Max Scharping becomes available. He's a guy we liked, so we add him to the mix. And then Devin, obviously, we have the issues right now with the injury front that we have at tight end. We think some guys are going to get healthy, and they'll be able to help us, but he also is able to add to the mix, and we think that he's a good football player and will be able to help us.
What would you like to see out of Jackson Carman over these next few months?
Just continued improvement. I think Jackson has come a long way since last year even. And, we just added another player to the mix that has also shown great improvement over a short period of time. And so this isn't even a setback in some ways. It gives Jackson a chance to continue to learn and grow and keep improving every single day, like Frank asked him to. And I like Jackson. I like what he's about. I think he has a very bright future here. Right now, he's just our backup guard.
Assuming, because you didn't put him on IR, you expect Isaiah Prince to be back soon?
We'll see. Some of those injury guys, we're going to have to sort through, how quickly they can return, and some guys may be longer than others.
Zach, does this feel like a long wait to get to that first game, and how important is it to pace these guys so that they're peaking on the 11th?
Yeah, there's fun little things that crop up along the way that take your time, like days like today. So it gives you plenty to focus on. I think it's a good week for our guys. We get a chance to hit a lot of things that maybe we installed early in training camp that we want to revisit before we get into a game week that may or may not be a part of the plan next week. So these 2 days are really an opportunity to get our players back on the field, work on the conditioning a little bit, revisit some things that we think are going to be helpful for us over the course of the season. And then we give the players that 3-day break that they get, and then they come back on Monday for that bonus day.
I know you're not quite on to Pittsburgh yet, but they obviously have a good defensive line. What does it mean to have a guard as experienced and talented as Alex Captain is?
Yeah, they're very helpful. He's played at a high level. He's played next to guys who play at a high level. He's been on teams that play at a high level. He's been in these games. He's seen these matchups before. So I've been really pleased with how he has played in training camp, and especially coming off that injury he did. I think he's recovered quickly and nicely and been what we hoped he would be.
Flip side of that, you started a lot of rookies in week 1 at skill position, but a guy like Cordell, what's the biggest challenge for a rookie to be thrust into that starting role right off the bat?
Yeah, he's a physical player, and that's a very good quality for him to have going into week 1 against Pittsburgh, because Cam Hayward's one of the best in the business. Larry Ogunjobi's one of the best in the business. Tyson Allo has done it at a high level for a really long time. And so their D-line is one of the best in all of football. And we know about their edge guys, but their interior guys probably don't get the credit that they all deserve. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. We give them a lot of credit. And so it's a dogfight in the trenches when you play the Pittsburgh Steelers. And so we feel like Cordell will be ready for that, alongside some veterans that have done it for a while, and Jonah and Ted. And so I'm excited to see how that all plays out.